Hello and welcome to the Futro Hidden Movie Gems podcast. I am your host, Ty Spiker Kirstensen. Get off me, you slut, you whore! Oh, it's just a dream. Sorry, don't know who dreams like that. And we've got Cameron Mickle on the podcast.
Not everything that moves, breathes, and talks is alive.
Oh, spooky. And we've got Jordan Christensen on the podcast.
Oh, lady! Oh! You get out there and check it out.
And we've got Grant Mickle on the podcast.
What movie are we doing again?
You
I
had
don't
that
know.
look. You
It
had that
was a
look on your face.
joke.
It was a failing joke for the Wailing. Nice job.
It was
Grant.
a wailing joke.
Yeah, we're all weeping because of how unfunny.
Do you have a
Grant.
quote, or is that your quote?
That
No,
was his
I don't have a quote.
Grant's like, I don't speak Korean. Guys, today we're reviewing The Wailing. This came out in 2016, and holy smokes. That's all I can say about it. Director was Na Hong-jin, and he also wrote it. Stars Jun Kinimura, who I also recognize, by the way, the Japanese man from Kill Bill. One of the best movies of all time.
Did
So
you know this is his first? Did you know this
What?
is his first
The
Korean film?
detective?
No, the Japanese man. This is his first Korean film. It's 35
Oh.
years of filming or of acting.
Yeah, dude. It's awesome.
Wow.
And it's got Kwak Do-won. Okay, I'm not gonna do it. But anyway, I like his name is Jonggu, and I love that. Like Jonggu. So good. And a few other people I can't. Oh, Park Sung-young. I swear I've said that name before, but they all just sound too similar to me.
They all
Oh my racist. But no, but one of them is from A Bittersweet Life.
Which one?
I think it's the
Pronounce the name.
Oh, Cameron, is
What I
it
hear
the
you
same
say.
guy from
I think the shaman is
Memoir?
from Bittersweet Life.
Oh,
The Shaman?
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, The Shaman. Oh my gosh,
Dude,
guys.
crazy ritual, man.
We got to get into this movie. Guys, this
Yes.
reminds me of The Cure. This movie is
Yeah.
like deep and
Yeah.
scary and intense. So guys, The Wailing. Let's get into it. What was it like watching this movie for
the
first
shaman
time
is from A
watching it?
Bittersweet Life.
Okay.
that's what I tried to sell Cameron on. I just like it's kind of like The Cure. It goes that dark.
Which, can I just say that I'm surprised that you made Cameron watch this film.
I know. I was like, and I
But
built
Cameron,
it up too much.
you just opened
Oh,
up
no,
a
no,
whole
we'll get
avenue
into this-
because
we'll
there's a
get
lot of
into
movies
this
that
when we
aren't
talk
as scary
about-
in this, Cameron.
We'll
Like,
get
this
into it
is
when we talk about
terrifying.
our experience watching it.
Okay, and Cameron's like, I now see dead people. Sorry, Cameron. Guys, I watched this movie a while ago, actually. I want to say it was back when in the Middleton apartment. So I was living, this is like 4 or 5 years ago, because I watched it probably pretty soon after it was first on Netflix. Maybe it's never left, but anyway, back in 2016, it must have been 2017 or 18. And maybe it was the year it came out. But anyway, I remember watching it and just being floored. But rewatching it, it's like I watched it for the first time last night. Because, and I have a few reasons why I think that might be. But anyway, it was unreal. I was at the edge of my seat.
Well, you have to get off tight in 8 minutes. So tell us what was your two favorite things?
Oh my gosh, guys. Okay, so let me get into the whole thesis of this stuff, right? Where you have like two opposing demons that are fighting. Like, this is such a cool idea. And I think other movies try to do this concept, but they really fail at doing it. The red herring where the woman, I'll just call her the woman that wears white. She's the good demon, but he has to make a choice whether to listen
is
to her
she,
or not.
dude?
Or is she?
Or is
I was gonna say.
No, definitely she's the good one. Trust me.
I have some evidence that proves
You haven't
that.
shown me one shred of evidence.
I'm telling you, I have some evidence that makes it pretty inconclusive.
It's definitely left to be dubious for
Yeah.
sure. So you can interpret, but I like the read. I mean, we see the guy eating some animals. We never see the woman to such
Or do we
depravity. So
see that? It is all unreliable narrator nugget.
I'll give you another one, a really good one at the beginning, and this is like a metaphor I wish I'd caught on my own. I mean, I remember thinking it was super upsetting watching a guy hook a worm, but he's literally fishing for souls.
Did
right?
it
And I
make
was
you
like,
think of the beginning of Lord of the Rings? I totally thought of that.
Oh yeah, Smeagol's just like, like you're like, there's no way that guy doesn't turn out to be a serial killer. So anyway, the Japanese man, he's like hooking worms and stuff, and it's just like such a good metaphor, like a fisherman luring, putting his lure out to see what he catches. Like, oh, it's creepy and eerie, and
So good.
anyway. So yeah, there's plenty of that. So I love movies that are so well done that they can be left to interpretation. Obviously, you're free to interpret either way, and I've learned that, Cameron. You and I can have differences and
Well,
stuff, but
well, and me
uh,
and Cameron
That's
discussed.
why this is the poster I have for it on Letterboxd. You can't really see it. But
Oh, it's the demon horns, right?
no, well,
oh
yeah,
my
it's the demon
gosh.
horns, and then there's the fish hook.
Yep.
Oh.
See, that's like a big motif in this movie, like, oh my gosh, guys, this movie so unnerving and unsettling, but then there's like moments of sheer beauty. I mean, the cliff he's standing on when he's, where's my daughter? And then like uh the vast landscapes, even the roads they're driving down are just absolutely beautiful. And then they have like these really secluded places in the jungle and these little villages that just freak me out because they're so cut off from everyone and just feel so hopeless and helpless. Like, imagine being out there where you're just there with your single family and you're miles from anyone else. And then like the next day you're investigating like a brutal scene. This movie is brutal. This movie is like, it's muy heavy, as we used to say in Chile. It's muy heavy and scary as all get out. So this goes like, and it's so funny because I didn't even consider this movie like in the top 100 movies of all time, but now I watch it, I'm like, I have to do a list of top 100 horror
Horror.
movies, and this
It's
goes
in my top.
in there
Yeah.
100% of the time. Like, it is so unnerving and so chilling. So I have to know, Cameron, what are some of your thoughts about this? And we can get into two of our favorite things, but I have to know, Cameron, you
Yeah,
watching
Cameron.
this movie, I'm very interested to know what you thought of this
Because
because
it
this is pushing the envelope.
borderlines
Yeah.
too far on
Jordan
Cameron's.
probably forgot how scary it was when he recommended, because you watched this earlier with me, right, Jordan? We watched this years back, right?
I
We
don't
wanted
know
to
how
review it.
Well, I'll get into mine first. Let's hear Cameron. Yeah.
I saw like, yeah. Anyway, go ahead, Cameron.
Yeah, I mean, I normally don't ever venture into the horror genre or realm unless it's like pretty based in non-paranormal. But yeah, Jordan talked a lot
As
about it
paranormal
being,
as you get, by the way.
yeah, well, Jordan talked a lot about it being similar to Cure, which I was like, okay, which
It gets pretty
that's
dark. Like a Cure gets dark.
Cure gets
Oh
dark.
yeah.
This gets dark.
I
Wailing
think
gets super
Cure.
dark too.
I honestly think Cure is creepier than this.
Interesting. Only
Because I think Cure has a lot of restraint, and that restraint is more horrifying than this like showing. Because so that was the thing, watching it for the first time. I watched it with Grant and Jordan, and uh like I was blown away. It was really like the thriller aspect was great. And then the demon scene, Jordan so overhyped that I was way scared. He had me close my eyes for like, because he didn't know when the scene was. So it's like for 15 minutes, I'm just missing like the most
Yeah.
important conversation. And then like so we went through the whole thing, whatever. I didn't watch it, and then we go to explainer video, and then just the demon is on the explainer video. And I was like, bro, that is so much less scary than like I imagined in my head, because Jordan's just like, don't look. And so I
it's a
way
man in makeup with red eyes. Yeah, dude. Well,
I way overhyped like how scary it'd be in my head, naturally as you do. And that's
Jordan, I actually like this. You made the viewing experience more terrifying for Cameron. You're like, don't look at it. It'll mess you up. And then you're like,
That's because it messed me up the first time. I was not expecting, because the movie was so dubious. I didn't expect them to actually show anything. I thought they were going to leave it up to interpretation, but like, oh no, he's definitely a demon.
yeah. And well, see, but that's also, you're unsure of that because this is also coming from a priest who is also seeing visions in the hospital bed. So I'm just saying, we don't actually know if that's what he saw.
All right, I like
and like
that.
he said he wanted to see what he said. You've already decided what I am. So he was going to see a demon, whether or not he was a demon. I'm just saying.
that sounds like something a bad demon would say, though. He's like, I can't change your mind. What you?
Oh no, I love it when he
You're
was like, "Who said I'm going to let you leave?" I was like,
Yeah. That
my
dude,
God, you're
that
so
see
dumb.
that was my other quote I was gonna do. I wanted to lead with the funny because this podcast gets heavy. So you guys are listening, like there's like a demonic possession aspect to this, and it's terrifying. But it's also played like, I love how dubious it is the whole time. The mystery of like, is there a virus going around? Like, a lot of people are experiencing like these rashes. People are driven to insanity, and then you see like what was so perturbing too was like they were like, look at the victims, and like you go there and they're like, that's the person that did it, and you see the person that did it, and they're like, they got boils all over their skin. They're like, they're messed up, and you're like, they're not in a good place, and you're like, something's going on. And then like they mentioned the stories of finding animal remains everywhere. Oh, there's just so many things. Like, okay, I'll say one last thing. You mentioned subtlety, restraint, Cameron. Some reason, like, just talking about this, the shaman's walking around. He's like, "Hey, bring me that that drum over there, and he's like, that's just soy sauce, and he's like, yeah, bring it over to me. Are you deaf? And then he brings the thing, he whacks it with a stick, and this dead crow is inside it. I don't know why stuff like that freaks me out. One, that I might be caught drinking said soy sauce or eating that soy sauce had a dead crow in it. And then also to find out that that was done in a way to ward off bad spirits, that the good demon she put in there was to protect it. And then he's doing that stupid ritual, yelling in that girl's face, clinging his knives together, and he was gonna sacrifice the goat. Who else have we seen do that? Those are the bad guys, Cameron. So that's my point, is that he is the
Oh.
bad guy and she was the good one.
I'm
Yes,
also
the crow in there is very
I'm also
unnerving
convinced that
when you
there's a
don't know
good
the
chance that
circumstance.
there is no good people in this movie.
Yeah.
I'm willing to accept that. Yes.
Because how do we know that the what she was saying is true? Because he did the worst of both scenarios. He didn't go immediately, and he didn't wait until
Yeah.
the third crow. I'm like, my
Oh.
brother, you either have to do one or the other. The moment she says stay, you gotta say see ya and run and try to
Yeah.
save your family.
And last thing I will say,
Or
I
you gotta
love
stay and wait.
the religious symbolism in all this, and I wonder like how much the cock crowing 3 times, right?
Yeah.
That's from biblical stuff. Just there's so many cool things to unpack in this movie, so I'm gonna leave you guys to it. I love you guys so much. I love this movie. I can't wait to talk about it. If my meeting gets in an hour and you guys are still talking, please let me know, because I'll get back on to talk about this. Okay?
Okay, sounds good.
I love you guys. The
Later.
Wailing. Ah! When he wakes up in his dreams, dude. He wakes up, dude, freaks me out. And then he can't run,
I
dude.
love how
There's so many things in this movie.
no one shows him sympathy from his nightmares. He always just wakes up and everyone's like,
They're like,
Well,
what a
and I
freak,
like
dude.
What
his
the fuck is
wife, the
wrong
way
with
she looks
you?
at him like, what are
Yeah.
you seeing in your
What are you
dreams?
doing?
yeah, well,
Love you
and she was like,
guys.
what sin did you do to deserve this or whatever? I was like, what the fudge?
Peace and blessings, guys. Talk to you later.
I don't know if you guys had this interpretation, but well, I think I told you this already when we were watching. I actually thought he was cheating on his wife, which is so dumb of me.
Yeah.
And so even in my first review on Letterboxd, I'm like, oh, he's a perfectly flawed person, which I mean, he still is flawed, but like not the kind of flawed I thought he was. And yeah, but it turns out like, because you notice she's got the same dress on, his wife is like, and I thought that's why she was mad at him, because there's such a weird cut. Like she was, he woke up from the dream saying, "Oh, you slut, you whore," and then all of a sudden they cut to her washing and being like angry and looking at him. Like I thought she knew, because like Wolf of Wall
She
Street.
knew he was being unfaithful.
Yeah, well, in Wolf of Wall Street, there's a scene where he's like saying another girl's name in his sleep, and she's like, "Who's that? Who? What? Are you an owl?" Like I love that. Anyways,
That's funny.
yeah.
Do you want to get into first time? Oh, I can just finish second time watching, and
Yeah,
then we'll get into.
What did you get through it, or are you watching like highlight stuff?
No, so I watched it again last night with Drew and
Colton?
Yeah, with Drew and Colton.
What did they think? What did they think?
It was funny. They kept guessing the entire time, and Drew was like super frustrated. Like even up until the end, he was like, "I hate how I have no idea who is bad and who's." I was like, "Yeah," because he's not the biggest fan of ambiguity. But he
Which I feel like this can be interpreted how you want. It can be ambiguous, or you can just take it as is.
Yeah, like definitely like the surface. It's kind of similar to, for me, Shutter Island. Like the surface level, you can obviously just assume like, oh, he's crazy. Or if you're crazy like me, you can be devil's advocate and be like, he's innocent. And then that's kind of how I feel like with this movie is I'm like, I just don't know if I can trust anyone. The only person I trust is our protagonist. Everyone else to me is like untrustworthy and has ulterior motives for everything. But yeah,
Yes.
rewatching it again, it's funny because I was like going to pick up like on clues and stuff like that to like essentially make my decision one way or another. But watching it a second time made me realize how it's like impossible to choose one. I was like, I'm like, if I was a detective trying to like, or I was a lawyer trying to prove either side of this case, I'm like, it's so subjective, it's insane. Like so many things, because that's the thing like that we talked about too. There's just a lot of pieces that's like, it's all depending on like who you believe, and then also like does that imply that it's like, oh, was he like him die or like looking like he died, is that because he was being stabbed by the shaman, or is that because he was transferring some of his life force into a dead body to create a zombie? It's like there's so much. It's like, was the shaman creating the dead bot like the zombie, like, or was he trying to curse the house? Like,
Or I mean, the original thought is he's trying to kill the guy, but then you find
Yeah.
out they're working together, but maybe he's still trying to kill him. We don't know his like.
Yeah, exactly. See, because
Oh
and
no,
that's the thing.
we know he wants a lot of money. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's all he
Like,
cares
oh,
about. Yeah.
before we talk, could we
10K.
pay up first?
Maybe
Yeah.
he's trying to kill him and then take the rest of his share or something, you know.
Well, and it's interesting too is there's a deleted scene that's the final scene that was taken out. And it's the
Is it on
deleted
YouTube or where did
Yeah, it's on YouTube. And it's the shaman or the Japanese man is waiting at a bus station, and then and there's like a family, and he like motions over to this little girl like for some candy, and then she like starts to cross the street, and then the mom runs and grabs the kid and like brings her back, and then he kind of looks like sad, and then a car pulls up, and it's the shaman, and then he hops in the car with the shaman and drives away, and then
Dang.
and then the what's it called girl, the spirit girl, she is like in the background looking, and see, and I was at first I was like, oh, maybe he just didn't include this to make it more ambiguous, but I honestly think even that maybe shows like continues the ambiguity, because if you look at it, like they could be working together to try to kill her, and they're like, okay, yeah, this town's like it's done, like there's nothing that we can do like to try to save this town, because everyone's like just gonna like give into the spirit or whatever.
Mm.
Which I think, because it like no matter how you look at it, I think there's like you could argue either side. Which that's just after the second viewing, I was just really
But
impressed.
why is he going after small children with candy is the real question. If he's a shaman that's trying to do the right
He's an
thing.
he's an old Japanese man. He's just trying to be nice, Grant. I thought there's two ways to look at everything, Nugget.
Sure, I guess.
Yeah, and who's to say that chick that
Well, let's move on before we get
okay,
canceled.
also that chick's not exactly a reliable narrator. Homegirl murdered her family and then hung herself. So who's to say that she wasn't lying about that? Just saying. There's literally no one you can trust in this town except for the man who has nightmares and nobody comforts him.
I find that interesting though, is because a lot of people that become like possessed are usually abused people. So I just thought that was an interesting detail to add in there. There's so many details in here that I'm just like, oh, this movie's so good.
Yeah.
And
Jordan, get into what it was like
but-
watching for you.
yeah, so
wanna
first
hear.
time I watched it with Zach because he loves foreign films. So I was really excited to watch it with him. And I guess more interested. I don't remember if Ty recommended it or if I don't know how oh, you know what it was? Is I typed in the top 10 Korean films on YouTube, and then I just like I put them all on my bucket list. And then this one was on the list on a lot of people's like top, like if not number one,
Wow.
it was in the top 10. So I was like, wow, I really need to check this one out. And I'm so glad I did, because that ending shook me, which is why I built it up too much for Cameron, because I wasn't expecting that. I was not expecting to see an actual demon. Like, I'm like, oh crap.
Yeah.
And I just got chills because I'm like, shoot.
See,
Like,
for me, it was super cheesy because of what I built it up to be.
I know. But that's
Fire
me.
for the better.
Yeah, I love practical effects. So I was all for the costume. I really love this movie, and it does get better on rewatch. Like Cameron said, I kept thinking the same thing. I'm like, oh, maybe it's gonna make more sense and be more clear. It's not. But I actually forgot on the second viewing. I've forgotten how clear the ending was. Like, it's weird because it's like so unclear and yet it's still dubious. I don't know if that makes any sense. Because I
I
just
mean, it's clear but dubious. You said unclear but
oh,
dubious.
sorry. Unclear and dubious. No, it's so clear. It shows you like this guy's the demon. This lady's claiming to be, like I said, like you said, Shutter Island. You can take it at face value. He's crazy. This one, same thing. You can take it at face value. Two guys working together. One girl's trying to stop him. I mean, it could be as simple as that, but the fact that there's so many other little things that go into play.
Like,
and
what
you're-
the fudge is she doing with all articles of clothing of all these people
Yeah.
that have died? I'm like, she's
Well,
like, it's not what you think. I'm like, you better freaking elaborate, girl. Otherwise, I'm running home.
Yes.
She's so
Why?
She's so like broad, and
That
not-
is why I have a hard time trusting. I mean, huge hard time trusting that chick, because she is so vague. It's like you should have been talking about this from the get-go or the beginning. Like,
where's my daughter? This high? I'm like, did you take her? Like, what the fudge? You telling me her height, like not giving me instructions where she is. And then he's like, are you a spirit or woman? And she's like, I just need you to have faith. She's like, why does it matter? I was like, what the fuck? Just answer the question, Nut'em. Like,
Yeah.
is there some rule against you telling me whether or not you're a spirit? Like,
Yeah, it maybe there is like yeah, there's but the fact that she's so dubious and she's like, and when he looks over and sees, like you said, that article of clothing, and then the other thing is too, me and Cameron discussed the possibility of her trying to like if he didn't go after the third crow, I think personally, I could be way off here, but I think they would have all died, but they would have captured the ghost. I think that ghost was willing to sacrifice that family because they're basically all the other families before them are going to die and all future families are going to die. So it's like, this will be the last family, but I'll capture them.
Well, I'm curious what the trap exactly was. Like, because she said, I've set a trap. Like, how was the trap that the guy would find the
I think
shaman there or
I
something?
I think it was to permanently like her to be trapped inside that body, and then she would be able to like contain it or something.
kill the child.
Yeah, maybe. I don't really know how.
See, because that's why it also gets when people are like, oh, well, they're obviously working together. What I don't understand, especially after second viewing, why did the shaman say the rat has fell into the trap when he thought that the Japanese guy had died? I was like, that's what I was like, wait.
Oh,
The rat, because that's what I'm like. Does that mean that it's being set up to where the priest will die, or does that being like because I mean it happens right after the what's his name gets hit by the car. Like after
yeah.
the Japanese guy gets hit by the car, the shaman immediately goes, the rat has fallen into the trap. And so that's why I'm like, does that mean that now that they think that he's dead, that he'll for sure like go like I just don't understand that part. I'm like, why is the shaman
Yeah.
like glad about him hitting the Japanese with his
Jeez, I don't
car?
know.
That's the thing too, and that's what I love too. As I was talking to Colton and Drew about it, I love too the another level of ambiguity that it lays is just every single one of them shows symbols or signs of mortality. So like
Yeah,
like the
he's like,
Japanese
feel
gets
this
hit by a car,
flesh.
That's the only time that you ever see him touch anything or anyone.
Well, and they pick up his body and throw him over the ledge. Yeah.
Exactly.
Isn't
And
he
then,
holding his dog though?
yeah, but like
Oh,
true, but no one physically had touched him.
did
And
the
then-
guy
and-
finally touch him though when he showed himself as a demon? Did he?
No.
Okay.
And then
No, but
and then
remember they grabbed his body and threw it off the cliff.
So that
yeah,
Cameron said
Jordan
that's
already
what.
said that.
Yeah, he's just saying that was the one time.
Oh, I thought you were saying just because
You're
the
special.
car
Just
hit
listen.
him.
Just
Yeah.
listen.
I didn't know you were talking about human beings
And
touching
so then
him.
and then
Okay.
the spirit girl, the only time you ever see her potential mortality is when she grabs him,
Oh yeah,
and
That's-
then the shaman
she looked
like
pale as a ghost too.
dude
It looked like she was like really forcing to get her hand on him.
See, and that's the thing is like, does that mean that she's real? Maybe she's a shaman, maybe, or it's like maybe she's a spirit. Maybe that's the only thing that can keep her like tethered to the mortal realm is having the possessions of others, of souls, maybe who
Right.
are like in the in between flux, and so that's why she has all of those items. That she's like, this is the only thing that can make me mortal.
Well, have you seen the movie Ghost with Patrick Swayze?
No.
Okay, because they show in that movie the idea that like ghosts can once in a while touch or move things, but it like takes a lot of like energy and they can only do a
Interesting.
little bit of it. So, and it's like something they have to really concentrate on. So maybe that was her just like she used up her little bit of, I don't know if you want to call it power, but like ability to touch him. So
Interesting. No, but that's what I love is see, so you see like mortality from all of them. And see, but then also you see mortality in the shaman by his fear.
Well, the shaman, most of all, I think he is just a plain human. I don't think he has any like.
But see, and okay, that's another thing that doesn't make sense to me. Why did the shaman run? If he was working with the demon, why did he run?
Well, not working because he
when
knew
did
she
he
was.
run?
He could feel that he knew
Tried
that
to
trap.
flee.
Well, he knew that trap was
trying to
set.
leave, that's right.
Well, he knew that trap was set, right? Because his blood started shooting out of his face.
Well, see, and that's also see, and that's the thing too, is you don't know that. See, that also leaves it ambiguous. Is she so powerfully evil that she makes him a guy who's like trying to do good, like essentially like bleed from his mouth, or
And
is she so
vomit
good that
violently.
yeah, or is she so good that she makes the evil him like bleed from his mouth? See, that's even then you don't see. But the reason that like makes me believe like that I don't know either way is because he flees in such fear. I'm like someone who's working with one of the most powerful demons. Like that's hard for me to believe that like one good spirit and he's like I'm gonna fudge out of here and then but then it's also you see that he like sees the like the locusts or whatever and then it goes away and so you're like has this dude been infected by the demon? That's what also like makes you think I'm like maybe he was good and then was turned bad, or like because it's the same
He
thing with
was
the priest.
possessed to
It's the
help.
same thing with the priest is because we see him like he's good the entire time, but then it's like the moment he like after he saw his like cousin or
Have
his
you watched
uncle.
Have you watched Coherence yet with Drew and Colton?
No.
Oh, fudge. Because this is like, I'm getting PTSD from that conversation. My brain feels like it's going to
Yeah,
explode.
and that's what see and that's what to me was like um it was almost like it was funny. Drew said it was like one of the most unsatisfying endings he's ever seen to a movie. Um, but like it was funny for me on the second viewing. It felt unsatisfying just because, like we talked about, like I didn't get my answer. As I'm like,
Yeah.
there is no, and honestly, that's what I like, and that's why honestly for me this doesn't feel as paranormal as it's showed out to be. Because
Mm.
similar to if anyone saw Haunting of Venice, like I feel a lot like the detective in the movie, not in that I'm intelligent or whatever, but I love how cynical he is and like he always has a logical explanation for everything. But then even at the end of the movie, he kind of says like, yeah, something he's like it's like that might not be able to be logically explained, but he's like, I still refuse to believe that it's real. um and that's kind of how I feel like because of this and the ambiguity, because it's like all of this could be because same thing even with him bleeding out of his nose and stuff like that could have just been like mushrooms or whatever someone gave to him. It like we saw in the gentleman. It's like when the homie like vomited like over the top and like the worst part of that movie. Like things like that could happen if you're given like the right drug or whatever. And so it's like, who's to say that any of it? Because like I think there's a good chance that he's just a fraud. Because I mean, who's to say that he wasn't the one that placed the crow in the like in the pot? Because like, what easy way to show like, oh, see, I just have this
Right.
like divination because I immediately felt that there was a crow in here. It's like, okay,
Right.
you could have literally just put that at the bottom of the thing when you came over.
Well,
Like,
I love and I mentioned this before to you guys after we watched it. I don't remember if you heard this, Cameron, because you were kind of like falling asleep and
yeah, when you
as we
guys
were,
are watching like 40-minute,
and then
what's it called?
you got
Explainer videos at like 2:30. I was like,
and Cameron gets up and he's like, my brain hurts, I'm going to bed. And me and Grant were still talking about it, but it kind of reminds me of the Rick and Morty episode where the people are like praying to the heads or whatever, and on the opposite side of the planet is actually who they're talking to, but the people on the other side think there's some kind of correlation. And a lot of that I feel like might be what this film is, because we're only trusting what they're showing us, and unfortunately Cameron's already mentioned unreliable narrator, I can't speak. Just all the little details of like, person does something, something's happening, is that the consequence, or is this completely not connected at all? Like the guy doing that whole ritual and then the guy falling over and you think he's dying every time he stabs it and hits a spike into it. It's like, is there an actual correlation here, or is this, like Cameron said, or is he like, is part of his body leaving him kind of
and are
like
they happening simultaneously? There's
yeah,
nothing like it's shown to us simultaneously in
Mm.
intersplice, and that's why the editing's great. But it's like we don't even know, like we don't even know if that's happening simultaneously. Because
yeah.
it looks a little bit darker where the other guy's is, but I mean he's also away from kind of more civilization, so maybe that's just why it's darker. But
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty interesting how similar their rituals are. Like, I love every time they find a ritual and the reactions to everybody. Grant, before we forget about you, tell us what it was like seeing him for the first time.
Yeah, well, I'm that type of viewer that I don't really think very deeply while I'm watching it. So I just like I go with the flow of like what's being shown to me. And so I was like, oh man, this is crazy. Like this guy's totally evil, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're like two good guys trying to catch this white ghost, and then like, and then I'm just like, I don't even know now at the very end, you know.
Yeah.
So
I paused it and asked Colton and Drew. I said, are you guys going back right now, or are you staying with the girl? And Colton was to stay, and Drew was to go. And I was like, bro, I don't trust nobody. I'm running to see that myself. Like, she's like, especially when she's like, just believe. I'm like, nah, I ain't
Yeah.
just believing. I'm running. I'm like she's giving you nothing, like no reason to believe in her.
Yeah.
that's true.
No reason. She's like everything that we've seen that was like semi good is all off, like when he's not on screen. I'm like, the only time
The-
he's ever interacted is she's just said, "Oh, I saw the murders with my own eyes."
Yeah.
like,
The
Oh, what
only
the fudge?
she shows up at the end and a few other times, and she's like following him around everywhere, but it's like,
And then she vanishes, and then he sees the demon. Coincidence? I don't know. Was that a dream? Or did he actually interact with him, and then maybe did he get possessed, or did he possess like him and in turn his
but
family?
I'm definitely, I know we talk about her like she might be bad, and she might. I still think she's I don't know if I use the word good, but she is trying to end this demon, I think. I mean, it seems like it based on just what we're told. Um
Yeah.
but she
That seems to be her motive.
Yeah, because she was very upset, let's just say, when he didn't do what she wanted him to do. Because she said she set a
Yeah.
trap. I think she did. I don't know what she was planning to do with the trap, but she
See, and
seemed.
that's the thing too, is that's why, like, even if she is trying to kill the demon, I don't think she has his best interests at heart.
Oh,
That's
why
definitely
I don't
not.
think so.
like, see,
Not at all, yeah.
that's why I can't, like, for me, I'm like, I can't trust you, girl, because I'm like, because to her, if the entire family dies but the demon's caught, it's a victory.
Yeah.
But to him, it's like his entire world is ended. But she's like, we got the demon. He's like, I don't give a fudge. I have no family now. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Well,
love
she had
main
to
guy.
use that motivation, like with the guy. She had to lie to him, saying your family could be saved, because that was the only thing he cared about in that moment. And so she had to use that
the noble
for
line.
for him to be able to like even consider not running to his family, you know.
And I just want to say this has some of my favorite intro ever, because from the get-go, people are telling stories, and I love when you don't know if people are dreaming or if the people are over exaggerating stories. Ty, just left the pod, but he is one of the most over exaggerated persons when he talks about things that's happened in his life. He loves to over exaggerate. And so when you hear these stories, you're like, okay, did this guy really see a demon? He might have seen somebody out eating a deer, but it's just funny. Like, he had
Isn't
glowing
that
red
scary?
eyes.
So funny.
Isn't that scary?
Yeah.
Scary my butt. And then later he's like, I think you might be onto something. He's like, I was just joking around. It's just a story. And
I
he's
know. I
like,
love how they
no, I
switch
think
sides.
it's real.
Yeah.
My
and-
favorite, one of my favorite moments is when they're walking with the guy who fell or whatever, and then he's like, and then it starts to rain. He's like, all right, yep. He's like, it's just over the hill.
I'll
He
see
was
you
not
later.
taking any
Then he
chances.
falls into the mud. So funny.
But then he gets struck by lightning.
That's one part that's
That
one
was
part
so
that's a little
random.
cheese that kind of takes me out of the film. I'm like, why is he getting
Yeah.
struck by lightning?
I know, what was the point?
And Colton was also like, there's no way he gets struck by lightning with all those trees around him. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy.
That was amazing. Yeah, it definitely, that was the, I don't know if I'd say cherry on top. It's just funny.
Yeah. What Grant? Well, it's in okay, Garrett.
But
yeah.
maybe with all like the demonic stuff going on, like maybe it was something.
Yeah, maybe his lamb was cursed or whatever. That
Yeah,
stepped foot on it.
I think there's something to do with that. Yeah. What Grant? Two favorite things?
Two favorite things. I think my first favorite thing is how horrible these detectives are, because they're just like small town, like small village at that. Like,
It's very Wolf
detectives.
of Snow Hollow.
They're
I'm sure
totally out of their depth.
I think it's a werewolf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not. Stop saying werewolf.
I need to rewatch those. But yeah, like I just love how they just feel like they're in training and they're like trying to figure everything out, you know.
Yeah. You use a
And-
glove, right?
Yeah, he just
Like,
picks
don't
it up.
touch
He's
the
like,
evidence
yeah,
with
your
your hand,
fingerprints all
idiot.
over it.
Yeah, you should be using a glove, right?
Yeah, so I think that's my number one favorite thing. It's just so funny to watch them stumble and try and like, you know, face off against like a demon who knows really well what he's doing against these like ignorant guys.
Well, it
And then my
adds to the horror aspect of it, is because it's
yeah,
like, oh, it's this dude who's a master versus these guys who barely know how to do their own job.
yeah, chickens with their head cut off.
He doesn't even know how to turn off the hose.
And then I think my second favorite thing was the scene where they confront the Asian man or the Japanese
Japanese.
guy, and then they just like go to town with a pickaxe on his house, and you're like, what the frick, man? And he just sits there and watches them, like, and then they fight the dog.
Yeah,
and then
that's
he,
serial
like,
killer
kills the
behavior. When he
dog.
didn't react
It's
and he was just like,
crazy. I know.
I was like, you should probably stop. Well, that's the thing too, is like that was why I was really interested. Like, I'm like, I wonder if he's afraid to swing at him, because if it goes through him, you're dead. Like, can you imagine swinging at him and the pickaxe just goes through his head, and you're like, all right, well, are you gonna possess me now or later? Like, what's going on?
Yeah. So those are my two favorites for sure.
Yeah, I just going right into mine really quick. Hopefully I don't take yours, Cameron, but I love so much because going along with Grant, kind of the buffoonery of the two detectives. I just love so much. Like I've already mentioned, they're way out of their depth. The second they go to that guy's house and the other guy opens up that cupboard, like I just get chills, like when he sees all the like disturbing photos, and it's just like, what have we gotten ourselves into? Because like clearly, like Grant said, they're just, this is nothing they've ever come across. I sure they probably, I wonder if they even have like that many murders ever, because this just seems like something they're not at all familiar with.
I know.
Well, you
Or
could tell by his reaction. His reaction is so genuine. He's just sitting there like in shock,
yeah,
like he can't move.
What I love too, it's like they found someone who they think has murdered someone, and they wait like a couple days to confront him. I'm like, why are you not arresting this man?
yeah. Well, I love Cameron made a great comparison. Memories of a Murderer, the lead detective of that one.
Memories of Murder.
Memories of Murder. Gosh dang it. I always get Memoir of a Murder, Memories of Murder. Those lead detectives are very similar in just the sense like they're both kind of, buffoons is a good word for it.
Well,
I
they're just hot-headed and they just like lead with their emotions, which gets them in trouble a lot.
yes, yes. And I think I connect so much more with that than, you know, if the person was like perfect or super smart. I just like love people that are like constantly making mistakes and really struggling to figure out what's going on. And it also leads to a lot, which is my second favorite thing, a lot of humor, like constantly laughing, because that guy is constantly screaming like a little girl. And like when they first see that woman outside the door and she's standing in the rain and the guy's screaming. I love when the lights go out right after he's done telling a scary story. It's just so perfect. And there's so many moments where he's just screaming, and which leads into I mentioned this in Letterboxd, just The Departed and this like really live up to their name. Like you hear, there was even a moment Cameron's like, can we please turn the volume down? Like, cause the guy was just constantly doing the wailing and he was just screaming nonstop.
Dude, the freaking ritual is like so loud, man.
Yeah. And I felt my ear ringing after the
Holy.
ritual was over and he stopped it.
Yeah,
And it's
I
just
know.
that I love that they live up to the theme in this movie. Is there's constantly people are crying for the loss of their loved ones, or people are hence the title, wailing. It's almost more than crying. It's like it's a loss of somebody. So very, very good.
Yeah, and then getting into two of my favorite things. My first favorite thing is the cinematography. I think this is like, cinematography is probably one of the most important aspects of a good thriller slash horror, because I think like being able to manipulate what the audience is viewing is like so crucial, because like that's the most horrifying thing. Is it's like, I think like one of the most underrated like uses of this is in like Harry Potter Prisoner of Azkaban. Like, just a great example, and it's used in almost every like horror movie. It's just like limiting our view is so scary because you don't know, like when the werewolf is like they're circling the tree or whatever, and then like that half of the tree goes out of view, and you're like, oh fudge, I know it's on the other side. I just don't turn around. And so like this movie, there's so many times where they'll be walking through a house and we'll just be getting like half of the room, and you're like, I hate this. I hate this. Why are we only getting half of the room? And same thing with like when they're telling the story of like the Japanese man. I also didn't realize it until like the second viewing. Like the monster, like that everyone's talking about, like it is the Japanese man. Like look, like I didn't realize that the first viewing. I was like, that,
Wait,
that
what?
like the thing with the red eyes. They're talking about the Japanese man.
Oh yeah, the guy eating deers
Yeah,
and
the
stuff.
thing eating
Yeah.
the deer. Yeah.
Yeah, for some reason, first viewing, I did not piece those two together, and then I was
Mm.
like, "Oh my gosh!" I'm like, "It
Well,
is
at
the
least you
Japanese."
didn't know the protagonist or think the protagonist was cheating on his wife.
Yeah. No, but I just think this movie does such a good job of like using that cinematography, and then also there's like some crazy beautiful shots that like it's almost like I wouldn't say like a tone shift, but it's like a breath of fresh air before like dunking you down again, before, like waterboarding you, because you're just like, okay, back in, because it's just like chaos, and it's like, oh, look how beautiful South Korea is. Anyway, I was like, holy fudge.
How do you know it's
Uh,
not North Korea?
uh because we have film of it.
This film got out somehow.
Um, and then my second favorite thing is I just love, and we've talked like so much about it. I love like the psychological thriller because I love psychological thrillers.
Oh, surprise,
Oh,
surprise! Cameron likes a psychological thriller.
always leave the element of ambiguity. I think the good ones do. And see, even like one of the most underrated things is it's okay to give an answer, but then I love like a movie and like you could totally see how this could get a cult following because this is the type of movie where there'd be people who like, nah, it's not her. She's the evil one. She's not the good one. Like I love movies that you could argue which side, like Inception and stuff like that, where it's like even if that wasn't the whole point, it's like it's still fun to argue aspects and it's like and then to look up information and like data points to support your side. Similar to It Comes at Night. It's like you can just read it at face value, or you can read like so much deeper into it. And that's why I think similar to Get Out, I'm like movies that can have a base level of like, oh, this is an exciting horror film about demons and possession. And then it's like on a deeper level, you could argue like, oh, there's so much like psychological aspects, and it's like maybe there's not even demons, maybe it's all in people's head. Everyone's an unreliable narrator that is seeing demons. It's like they've all been like exposed to something that's been making people sick and die. It's like, so how do we know these aren't just like visions that they're seeing before they die?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just like a lot of things like that. You're like, oh wow. And it just gives so much layers to it that makes it much more desirable to like rewatch instead of just being because that's what I
And
love about Get Out is like you can watch Get Out 100 times as like just an enjoyable like popcorn flick, but then you can also like think about it like, oh, there's so many like layers to this of like racism or like how people see people, and it's like, oh, there's motifs like everyone's in all black except this person, like just so many things you're like, oh, that's so interesting, and like the attention to detail is crazy.
well, and how grounded it is. I forgot to mention that. Just it feels like Cameron's. You mentioned just they could have taken it at not that it's a demon and stuff. Like I know they show it, but at
Yeah.
the same time, like you could explain most of what you had seen there with like just like an actual detective trying to piece together a murder.
Yeah. And that kind of goes into like my only nitpick. Me and Grant talked about a little bit about this is just, and we've talked about it with Jordan, is we just wish there was maybe a tad bit more restraint and maybe just showing like
A
the guy's
silhouette
reaction,
or just a reaction.
as he's
Yeah.
taking the photo.
Oh yeah,
Because I think then you could be like, is he seeing his true form? And it's like, because that's the other thing too. It's like maybe his true form is just magnificent, and that's why he's like,
I,
or maybe it's really evil and freaky, and that's why he's like giving the look. And so that's why I just wish it would have been a little bit more, because it's like you could obviously infer that it's evil because of like some of his dialogue, like who said I'd let you leave. See, but then also you could argue that, see, that's I'm gonna play devil's advocate right here. You could argue the reason he says who said that I'm gonna let you leave because he knows that the priest is now possessed, and then he's talking to the priest that's now, because he was having the visions, you saw while he was in the hospital bed. Then he comes to the like layer, and then he's like,
show me your true form, because maybe it's the demon asking the spirit to say, the good spirit saying, show me your true form. And so then he's like, who said I'm going to let you leave? And so that's why I feel like it would have left it even more ambiguous. I mean, they do show him in the demon state, so it's a little bit harder to argue that side, but
Yeah, this goes right along the lines of like Rosemary's Baby, because it leaves everything very dubious, and they show just enough for you to piece all the crazy parts together. Also, I think it's a lot like The Shining. Cameron doesn't think so, but also The Witch. Just there's so many little elements.
This is
That...
way. Let's just say this is way more horrifying than The Shining. Not even close.
I don't know. Anyways,
Because
but
all of the paranormal things in the Shining are kind of like, oh, whoa, that was wild. But it's not like the scariest thing in the entire movie is Jack. It's like in this movie, the scariest thing in this movie is the demons and the possessions.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. That's debatable. But anyways, it's just I love the little attentions to details. This movie is so good. I highly recommend if you can handle like Cameron, you're the one that doesn't like horror, so
Okay, yeah. So what this is and my two roommates also aren't big into horror. So the way I prefaced it, which I was kind of bummed because then it kind of like it let them know the entire time because like, well, I know that this part hasn't happened. Well, I just let them know. I said, I was like, the only part of horror aspect that's truly in this, I was like, there's a demon who shows his true form to someone. And I'm like, it's just a dude in makeup. It looks pretty, in my opinion, semi cheesy. I'm like, it is a little creepy, but like,
It's a Lord of the Rings orc.
yeah, that's a good comparison. It's a Lord of the Rings orc.
And so that's what I'm like, for me, that's why for me it's like an easier watch than if it was something like CGI or something that like doesn't look human or grounded. Because like for me, just seeing some dude that looks like freaky, I'm like, cool Halloween costume, I guess. Like I don't know,
Well,
I don't know. For me,
it's not like packed full of jump scares and stuff. Like there is, I mean, maybe just the lady outside the door when the lights turn out at the police station. That's probably the only part that's like
yeah,
jump scare-ish.
Oh, yeah.
But
no, but yeah. So that was what I prefaced to them. I said this is like a psychological thriller
yeah,
where there's the only aspect of horror is a demon showing its true form to somebody. But that was the problem, is like the entire movie, they're like, was that the part you were talking about? I was like, no. It was when like all the stories and stuff like that, or like when he
they're just
teases out.
bracing for it. Oh yeah, because the guy with the red eyes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched Dungeons and Dragons because Elise showed her family
For the first
and
time?
they loved. Yeah, well, this is the second time I've seen it.
Oh, okay.
and they loved it. It was really fun to watch with them. And that's pretty much the only thing I've seen besides the Wailing. So, oh no, I rewatched Joker with Cameron. Masterpiece every time.
Yeah,
So
Jordan,
good.
Jordan is a special kind of person. Let's just
I
say
love
that.
it. I didn't have any problem with it.
Jordan's like, it's just not that good.
I never
It's
said
not,
that.
every viewing, it's not as good.
I never said that.
Yeah, I loved it just the same as the second time.
No, I love it more every
Oh, you're talking about
I don't
Ty.
know.
Ty said that in his review. He like
Mhm.
said it was like
Yeah, that's it for me.
Well, Grant's a fake fan. Million things because we haven't been on in 2 weeks, and I was going crazy. I watched 36 movies in December.
Oh, well, hey, you proud to announce? Did
Not
you get
yet.
through? Oh,
Not
never
yet.
mind. Sorry. I'm jumping the gun here. You got one left, right?
I have one left on my movie poster over here. This
Yeah,
one.
little scratch ticket.
This one. Yeah. I've got one left out of the 100, so it's Cinema Paradiso, so I will be watching that this week.
And are you gonna leave it up, or are you taking it down, putting up something new?
I'm gonna leave it up.
Okay.
Gotta show my accomplishments. I watched, so as part of that, I was watching some movies that I normally wouldn't watch, like Amadeus, and in my Letterboxd review, I talked about how my punishment in hell would just be watching that and Citizen Kane on repeat. Holy fudge! It was funny because I actually was really like the first 45 minutes of Amadeus was like this. I can actually kind of
What?
get behind this. This is kind of fun.
Wait, remind
And-
me, did you like David Fincher's movie better, or
Yes.
okay? Than Citizen
Citizen
Kane?
Kane sucks.
Okay, or Mank. That's funny.
Yeah, people who like Citizen Kane are pretentious. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, but not really. No, I could see how you could like it, but it's boring and slow.
That's why luckily I'm gonna be cleansing my palate, and this next month I'm just gonna be watching what I want to watch, so that I'll be ready for, slow, boring, excellently well-made films. So I watched Amadeus, gave it a 1 star. It was a 2 out of 10 for me. There was just like the beginning was cool, and like the message was, I guess, interesting. And
It's
I
okay.
mean,
I couldn't get through it either. I
it's like,
tried. So boring.
I mean, it checks that, a movie about Mozart was slow and boring, like his music. So, um, and then
Oh my
I watched
gosh.
Champions with mom and dad,
It's a cute one.
and I was surprised. It was funny. My mom really liked it, and for me, it was like 7 out of 10. I thought it was really fun and just like kind of exact, like, and I can confirm. I talked about it in my letterbox review. I'm like, working with Special like Olympics kids, it's so funny, dude. They say some of the craziest things.
Mhm.
Um, but my dad was like, he's like, it's definitely not going to my top 100. I was like, glad you liked it. And then like Grant mentioned, I rewatched Joker with him. Dude's freaking perfect. Um, and then rewatched Elf. Super fun. Jordan doesn't like it because he doesn't have any holiday spirit.
What? I like it. It's good.
Jordan
I've
did
just
not want to rewatch it.
I've just seen it so many times.
9 out of 10 for me. Joker's a 10 out of 10. And then I watched National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation for the first time. Funny parts and some like clever humor. It's hard because I didn't grow up on it, so it's not like nostalgic at all for me. So it's kind of just like, oh, it's for some reason there's this weird niche because I'm pretty vulgar a lot of times with my humor, and like I think a lot of sometimes like inappropriate humor is funny, but like this and like Airplane just big swing and a miss for me, or for some reason. It's like perfectly. It's almost like too on the nose for me sometimes, that I'm like, okay. Like I just feel like it's not as restrained, and I don't feel like as like enjoyable. So 6 out of 10 for me, but still like solid.
Hmm.
Then rewatched Inglourious with all the cousins. It's literally perfect film. And then I watched Seven Samurai, 5 out of 10. It's 700 years long. Like I can totally see if like Jim Cummings has it, give it 5 stars, and like had it on. I'm pretty sure it's his top 4 films. I can totally see from like a filmmaker's perspective how this is like so inspirational and like inspired so many films like Skyfall. It's literally, if you've seen Three Amigos, it's literally just like a serious, like much better made version of Three Amigos, but less enjoyable. It's like it's just it depends. Like Seven Samurai is the film version, Three Amigos is the movie version. So it's like, do you want to sit down and have some popcorn and enjoy something, or like study something and fall asleep?
Well, I just want to mention too, because speaking of Jim Cummings, I also watched one of his top 4 movies, Seduced and Abandoned, this week. Me and my wife really enjoyed it. It was very fun. The
Okay.
first half is hilarious, Cameron, and I can see where he gets a lot of his inspiration for a lot, like
The
Wolf of Snow
humor.
Hollow. The whole
Mhm.
scene with the dad, breaking in with the thing around his face and like strangling the kid, and then the mom coming in beating him, and then afterwards she turns on
Overspraying.
her, yeah, and then she turns on her son and starts smacking him around. Like
Yeah,
totally, there's this almost exact scene in
that's funny.
Produced and Abandoned. The dad breaks in, this guy starts wailing on this kid, that daughter, and then the mom's like, what are you doing, like why are you beating up on our son? And then when they find out, they start beating up on their son. It's great.
That's really funny. And then I watched The Nice Guys with all my cousins. Dude, I forgot how good of a like it was second time ever watching it for me. It was even better than the first watch. It's a 9 out of 10 for me. It won in my top 100. I'm gonna see if it'll stay there. Um, it's
You tell me,
so
recency bias.
it's so funny. This is the second time viewing Nugget. And I was so surprised at how I was actually surprised how little, not little, but there for some reason the first viewing I just remember there being a ton of and like having to skip a ton. But like second viewing, I was watching with all the cousins, and I thought I was gonna be like really like uncomfortable a lot of times, but there was like only like one or two things that we needed to skip. So, and then I watched Shane Gillis, Beautiful Dogs with the cousins, and then also which is 8 out of 10 for me. And then Ricky Gervais, Humanity. We got like halfway through and then didn't love it. It's a 4 out of 10. Watch Black Klansman with my cousins. It's insane. 8 out of 10. The performances are really good. Probably my favorite performance ever of
I
John David
I
Washington.
watched it on your recommendation. Thank you.
Yeah, like I've never been super impressed with John David Washington, but I think that's probably his best role I've ever seen him in.
Eh.
Um, Jordan's not the biggest fan.
But I did love, oh my gosh, and I laughed out loud when he put his arms around those two guys and they took the photo.
The KKK
Amazing.
members, yeah, that was so
Yeah,
good.
that was so good.
And then I watched Daniel Tosh's People Pleaser with the Cousins. It's so good. It's 9 out of 10. It's so funny. He is so unapologetic. It's insane. And then I watched Three Idiots.
Not as
It's
good as
like
RRR, huh?
it's like all the worst parts of RRR. But I mean, there's some good moments. It's 5 out of 10 for me. And it's like
Is
the
it better
mess
than Sadar Utam or whatever?
no.
Okay.
The message is cool. It's just like it's much more like uplifting and like I don't know. It's just imagine RRR without any action. So
Mm.
And then I watched the original How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Excellent, 8 out of 10. And then watched Spirited for the first time, the Will Ferrell, Ryan
Watched
Reynolds
that
one.
too.
Pretty funny.
The
I don't
new
know, nothing like amazing about it. Like 6 out of 10 for me. Like I would probably would never rewatch it. It's not like a Christmas classic now, but um,
Well, do you like it
I'm glad
better
I
or
watched
the
it.
same as Scrooge?
Not even close. I mean,
Uh-huh.
like I don't love Scrooge just because of
Yeah,
how
that's
many
what I was
times
gonna
I watched
say.
it.
That's why I was wondering.
But it's like Scrooge is so much better than that
Mm,
shows.
yeah.
And then the last movie I watched of the year was Batman: Mask of the Phantasm, and it's excellent. It's 8 out of 10.
Well, what
But
about the Bat? I noticed you
depressing.
watched the Catwoman too.
It's not the Catwoman. And then for the first movie I watched of the year was Batman: Mystery of Batwoman. Man, that movie holds a special part in my heart, dude. It's so freaking good. And it's a 9 out of 10 for me.
Oh my
In my
gosh.
review, I said ended the year and started the year with animated Batman. Does life get better than this? Yeah, people could say I need a girlfriend. Beg to differ.
Yeah, I tried to because I was starting to fall asleep when we watched Batman Phantasm, and then when you wanted to watch that, I'm like, I can't do another Batman movie. I'll fall asleep.
It's so good. It's like the guiltiest of my guilty pleasures.
Mm.
I like Batman's my all-time favorite probably character ever. And then like anything animated too. I think all the animateds are borderline better than like so many movies, like especially superhero movies. Like all the animated Batman movies are better than like 90% of Marvel movies that are released. But yeah, and then been watching Avatar with Colton and Drew, and we're on the season finale of season 3, the series finale. It's freaking an hour and a half. I'm so stoked because it's like the final 4 episodes combined. And then just been playing a lot of Spider-Man on the PS5, and it's excellent. So yeah, just been nerding out. As you can see, I'm rocking my. And
Yeah.
the suits are so sick. I'm thinking about buying. There's a $10 bundle that just gives you extra suits, and I'm like,
I'm rocking the Cobra Kai t-shirt Cameron got for me for Christmas. Oh yeah, I'm
Baller.
young. So going along with what Cameron said, I watched a movie just like what was the one you mentioned? About the lighthearted, Spirited. I mean, I thought it was like Spirited. Todd's like, it's not even close.
Is it just because it's a musical?
Well, no. Todd like this movie way better than Spirited. Because this movie is a musical, Wonka. It's
Oh, we were gonna potentially watch that with the cousins, but none of us really wanted to go see it.
yeah, my wife wanted to see it. She likes musicals. She like loves musicals. So yeah,
Is
it
it
was
worth
fun.
watching if
I
you don't
I
like
knew
musicals?
I knew it was going to be just like Paddington 2, same director, so it was just like a lighthearted, cute movie. It literally felt like it may as well have been Paddington 2. It's the same cute. It's just a cute movie. I'm like, I'm all for supporting good, uplifting movies. Kind of reminds me of The Shack. It's just like, a good, uplifting.
It's a 1-star movie.
I love supporting.
What did you give it? What did you give it?
I think I give it a 3-star maybe.
Wow, and you gave Shaq 1-star, dude. You're disgusting.
Because this had
You said Timothy Chalamet.
it had some parts that made me laugh. It had Kay and Peele, one of the guys, not Jordan, the other one. It's okay.
Okay.
Key Key and whatever.
Yeah.
And and the movie's about a chocolate mafia, and they are keep feeding this police officer. So every scene he keeps getting bigger and bigger. Fetching hilarious.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's just I don't know what else to say. It's a cute movie.
Worth watching in the movies or no? Or in
What?
the theaters?
Yeah, it's in the theater right now.
No, I said worth watching in the theaters. I know it's in theaters. I know. I get it.
I don't know. It's cute. I say support good, uplifting things. Like I always loved when Cameron would watch like Green Arrow and Supergirl and Flash because I'm like, yeah, so I support good, uplifting kid stuff.
Kid stuff.
As long as it's not corrupting our children, like Disney's garbage. Their new stuff at least. So I appreciated it. There wasn't any messages jammed down my throat. It's just a cute, good thing. And then I rewatched Prisoners, masterpiece, Shining, masterpiece, and then Sunshine, masterpiece, The Thing, masterpiece, Batman Begins, almost a masterpiece, but it's pretty gosh dang amazing. Videodrome, masterpiece. Basically, I was just watching all my favorite stuff, like Cameron said. I weaved in a few things in between here and there, but
I'm excited. January is going to be my cleanse from critically acclaimed movies.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna avoid anything that's above an 8 on IMDb. I don't care about it. I just want to watch a bunch of garbage that I enjoy. Like I'm about to watch so much just like Batman the animated series and just watch some, just some B material and just enjoy it and just, escape from film study.
There was 2 movies I've had on my bucket list for a while because I was really hoping
Reacher season 2.
What one?
Reacher season 2 is out, so
Oh jeez.
everyone's a hater.
I just couldn't get into it. It's too cheesy for me. So I'm trying to figure out another good movie so bad it's good. I like really want to watch one of those because I want to review one eventually with you guys again because it's just really fun to talk about, even though they're like horrendous to get through. Ghoulies 2, I noticed like that was on I love these shirts. What's that shirt? It's called Cavity Colors. They have really cool designs and stuff, and I wear basically all my shirts are Cavity Colors now.
Yeah,
and
I saw a bunch of those. I was like, the fudge.
Yeah, and so one of them was Ghoulies 2, and I was like, oh sweet, I love basically all the other movies they have on their website, so I want to check this one out. And I thought maybe it'd be so bad it's good. And there are moments. It doesn't quite fall under like Troll 2, or is it just Troll 2? Because I was really excited and looking forward to that. But I don't know. Maybe it would be really fun watching with a group and then laughing and making fun of. And then sorry, Corey, but Boondock Saints 2. It's not the best. I feel like if I was like, I do love Boondock Saints 1, like love. But if I felt like I needed more, then Boondock Saints 2 would be perfect because it felt like a high school reunion, just like all the characters came back and it was like, oh yeah. And I think I would have loved that if I wanted more. Like, for example, Dawn of the Dead is one of my favorite movies ever, and they have an extended edition, and I love it because it's like, ooh, as much more as I can possibly get out of this movie. Yes, please. Like, even if it's just a couple minutes, every extra scene where a zombie's face gets shot and explodes, I will take it. So yeah, that's all I got.
Along those same lines, I will say the worst part ever is that Amadeus the only freaking version you can watch is the director's cut, which is 3 hours. It's not 2:45. So whoever is the like gatekeeping the original theatrical version, go die and release it so we can watch it. Like, I don't want to watch the director's cut of a already 2 hour and 45 minutes slow movie. Don't add 15 minutes to that garbage.
Yeah, I want the theatrical cut of Requiem for a Dream released again because they only released the director's cut, and I don't need to see that garbage. It's just like that other what was that? Possessor? Is that the one where the guy like he's a hitman, he goes into different people's bodies?
The woman?
No, the Possessor. I think that's what it's called. Anyways,
the Possessor is a woman.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's a hit woman. Sorry. And because she's inside a guy's body, so that's why I'm like,
yeah.
It's been a while since I've seen it, but I saw the uncut version, and they were playing that in the theater, and I'm like, what the heck? I would really like to see the original cut. I don't need all this extra garbage. So
Yeah, if they did a theatrical cut of Clockwork Orange, it'd be 20 minutes long.
yeah, that one doesn't exist. You know, it would be R today, back in the day.
No, it wouldn't. In what universe would it be R?
I don't know. I've seen R's, some pretty R's. They're similar.
R.
Yeah,
Trying to watch Black Klansman. It's feeling different now.
yeah.
It was. I will say it was really funny watching Black Klansman with my cousin who's black, and like I just kept making jokes towards her, and she was not having it. It was funny, but she was laughing along.
Oh, good. Okay. That's everything, folks. Peace.
Check on a letterbox.